Hey, what's up everybody? Tim here with Faith on Fire. Hopefully you are doing amazing today and that God is doing amazing things in your life. Thanks so much for watching. Title for today's shoot is The Desires of Your Heart, an Absolute Must Do. So a couple weeks ago, we looked at a clip that talked about Psalm 37, where God says if we delight ourselves in Him, He'll give us the desires of our heart. And what an absolutely amazing promise that is, that if we trust in Him, He'll bring it to pass. And I got to tell you, I've gone to that verse many, many times, and I've seen God back that verse many, many times. Because just like any loving parent, God wants to give us good things. He wants to give us the things that we desire. The important thing is that we have those things and that those things don't have us. And our best and highest desires are the ones that mirror His will for us and the things that He wants for our lives. So a big part of getting our desires is aligning our desires with what God wants. And when we do that, we can be 100% certain that they're going to come to pass. But even if they don't necessarily align with God's desires for us, there are things that He's permissive on that He will do for us simply because we would like them. And as long as we have them and they don't have us, I firmly believe that God wants to do those things for us just because He loves us and He is our loving parent. There is a critical component, though, to getting the desires of our hearts. And if we look at that psalm, if we look at Psalm 37, 3 times God says, fret not during that psalm. And fret means not to stress or not to worry or not to become frustrated or angry. And what I've found a lot of times is that the desires of our heart take time. Sometimes God does things instantaneously, and I've seen that happen. However, many times things take a while, and that's because God is getting things ready. He's getting other people ready. He's bringing other people into it. He's getting us ready. There are a lot of reasons as to why things take time. And what we can have happen to us is we can get discouraged, or we can get angry, or we can get impatient. And just like a little child who's waiting for Christmas or waiting to go on vacation or for something special, we start to get an attitude. And when that happens, it disconnects us from God and from faith. And it actually can delay what we're looking for. It can actually elongate that process because God's more concerned with our character and what's happening in us than what's happening for us. And He wants to do great things for us, but He also wants to do great things in us. And that's the most important thing to God. Are we ready to receive it? Will it help us or will it hurt us? And sometimes we just need to get ourselves ready, and we need to be open to His leading in order to prepare us to move into the awesome blessing that we've asked for and the thing that He wants to do. And that's why I believe David says fret not 3 times, because so often our minds can run away from us. They can hijack us, and we can let the circumstances and the apparent non-existence of the desire show up, and that once again causes frustration and anxiety and discouragement, and that will never ever help you get into that desire. The other thing that passage talks about, and this is so important, is that we need to rest. We need to watch God work. We need to turn it over to Him. Once we're convinced that He wants to do it, we've taken it to Him in prayer and He's promised it to us, we need to enter into a stage of rest. And rest simply means that we trust that He's on the scene, we trust that He's bringing it to pass, and we stop trying to force it. Years and years ago, there was something that I wanted really, really bad. I prayed about it, and it didn't happen. And, I thought that God wanted it for me, so I got impatient and I tried to force it. And it was really, really good for about 12 or 18 months. But then it totally went sideways and totally blew up. And it actually ended so painfully that I realized in retrospect, it probably wasn't God's best for me. And it was a desire of my heart, but it wasn't what God wanted for me. But I pushed it. And you and I can do that through positive thinking, through success behaviors and practices. We can actually, and even just through ambition and passion and desire in our own fleshly nature, we can actually make things happen that aren't in our best interest. And we can go out and force it to happen, and we can pursue it, and we can make it happen. But if God's not backing it, then He's not responsible to seeing it be successful. And that's exactly what happened. I pushed this and I forced it. And I forced it out of its time. And it may not even have been appropriate from the standpoint, but I wanted it so bad, I didn't care. I was going to go get it. And I did it, and I got what I wanted. But in the end, I paid far more for it than any benefit that it produced. So resting is trusting God. And a lot of times we think we got to go out and be ambitious and act and make things happen. And sometimes that's true. But a lot of times, if we really trust God and really believe God, we are going to sit back and we're going to watch him work. And typically he gives us instructions one step at a time, and we take one step, and then he gives us another step, and then he gives us another step. And the best things, the greatest things, take the longest period of time, because in that process, God is teaching us to trust him from one step to the next. And that's because he wants to prepare us to not only handle what we've asked for, but also prepare us to handle greater things down the road. But that only comes when we trust him. And here's the other thing: the greater the desire, the more passionate we are in wanting it, and the more tendency and temptation there's going to be to step outside that rest and try to do it on our own. I think God wants to do a lot of awesome things for us, but we limit ourselves because we don't rest and we don't wait. And then when we are waiting, we get upset, and like spoiled children, we cry and we complain and we moan and we murmur and we get impatient and we try to force it. And when that happens, we actually sabotage the very thing that God's trying to do in our lives. So God wants to give us the desires of our heart. Absolutely. He wants our desires to be his. He also wants to give us the things that we desire. But a lot of times there's a process involved, and we need to not fret. We need to not get off track. We need to just be joyful and glad every day. Know that God's working on it. Trust him, not try to force it, and let him bring it to pass. Because when he brings it to pass, the outcome is going to be far better than if we try to force it or try to do it on our own. Because when you're backed up by the creator of the universe, he'll not only take what you ask for, but he will make it exponentially better. So he wants to give us the desires of our heart. We need to then give those to him and let him act, take direction from him, and trust that when he's on the scene, it's going to work out exceedingly, abundantly, above anything we can ask, think, hope, or imagine. So Tim, with today's Faith on Fire, have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.